All right. Welcome to the show. Um, it's a new show that I want to start this year, a weekly show called Processed with Jon Stewart, where I take current events, I throw some comedy in there, some humor, and I end with a biblical, spiritual side, whether that be a scripture, whether it be a whole passage or chapter, whether that just be one scripture and my thoughts on what that scripture, like how I personally interpret that scripture. It doesn't mean that that's fact and that's how that scripture is meant to be. That's just my interpretation. People read the Bible and they gather. I can read the same verse several times in a year and get different interpretations of it. I will say that the Bible will be true. That part is fact, but it's just my personal opinion. Take it as it is. So I want to cover a couple things in today's episode. Today's the pilot, right? So it's the first episode, right? I want to cover some planes and what's going on with these drones. So let's dive in.
Wait, I gotta process this.
Right. So let's dive in first to some current airline news, right? So Spirit and Frontier Airlines have admitted to paying their gate agents $10 a bag or more for harassing customers whose bags they claim are too big, in quotes. This is Barstool Sports. They reported this on December 19th. So I had stumbled across this just scrolling through X, or maybe it was, I think it was X, where it looked like the Spirit Airlines were in some sort of court or federal court or something, talking, being questioned about, are they telling their employees they're to harass customers who they claim to have too big of bags for carry-on, right? And they're paying their employees to do so. So I think it's just bizarre. And if Frontier is doing this as well, neither of those airlines really have a great reputation, I think, from what I've heard. I don't fly a lot, but I definitely wouldn't have flown Spirit or Frontier even prior to listening to this. And the CEO or whoever they sent to represent the company was being very, evasive, and he was just not really wanting to answer the questions. And when he was pushed, he was backed into a corner and had to answer the question. Which, by the way, I'll list all of the sources in the show notes. So if you want to go read this article, because I'm just skimming over it basically and trying to get just a basic thing to talk about here. But because nobody wants me to read the entire article word for word. Like, you can go do that in your own time. I just think it's bizarre, and there needs to be some regulation for airlines that they can't do that. So if they're paying their employees $10 or more to harass these customers, who's to say, what is too big? If you're an employee and I'm going to get $10 or $20 if I harass each customer, right? So somebody with a diaper bag, well, that's too big. You got to check that and just Because ultimately it gets the airline more business, right? So you can charge 20 or 40 or $80 to check a bag, and so it gets the airline more. The more bags are checked. But I've learned that people don't really want to check the bags if they don't have to. I know when I fly, I try not to check a bag because I don't want to get lost. There's too many horror stories of somebody checked their bag and they got to wherever they're going and their bag didn't come up with them, or somebody else took their bag or something. And so if I can check my, normally it's a carry on and one personal item, which can be a small bag. So normally I just try to pack everything in that. And sometimes airlines that I've flown, if they get to the point where they're running out of space over top, they'll offer to check your bag for free. So the fact that Spirit Airlines and Frontier are not doing this. So this X post says airlines like Spirit and Frontier paid their gate agents $26 million to harass customers whose bags were, in quotations, too big. It's greedy is what it is. What are your thoughts on that? You can, I know if you're listening to on Spotify, there's comments. You can leave comments on Spotify. If you're not listening on Spotify, write in on any of my social media and let me know what your thoughts are on this. All right. The next article we have from space.com. Planes, drones, or UFOs. What are people seeing in the New Jersey sky? So this kind of goes straight into... actually, let's come back to that, because I want to kind of try to get a flow right into the last topic there. Video shows woman walking onto wing of Alaska Airlines plane. This is NBC News from the end of December. All right, let's watch this. Obviously, you're not going to be watching this. I'm watching this. But again, it's linked down in the show notes if you want to pause the episode and go watch this. Right. Dinner conversation. It's loading an ad. But you know what? It's okay. This is new. And yeah, AG1. You could be a sponsor. All right, here we go.
Tonight, newly released video from Seattle Tacoma International shows a passenger anxious to get off the plane Sunday opening the emergency exit door. You see her take a seat on the wing and wave for help. SeaTac officials say she was taken to a hospital for evaluation. Alaska Airlines saying in a statement, "We are working with our crew and airport officials to gather more details about what may have transpired." John Cox is an NBC News.
All right, so it looks like it wasn't like I was thinking. It was like as the plane was in the air, she was trying to get on the wing, but no, the plane had already landed at the destination, and she was anxious to get off the plane and didn't want to wait in line. I think that there needs to be a better way to get off planes. I watched a video not too long ago of this guy saying, why are we boarding planes like this? You should board the last seats at the very back first, right? And the first class last, right? So, which I think is brilliant. Why haven't we thought of that? Because, when you're getting on a plane, you're pushing your way, you're knocking into people, or people knocking into you if you're already on the plane. And we could really, if we had just reversed that, we could really, lose that inconvenience. But then getting off the plane, I think it wouldn't make sense to get the last people off first. But, it is what it is. So it looked like, she had opened up the emergency door on the wing, and she had climbed out, the plane's sitting on the runway at the gate. And yeah, definitely need to be evaluated after that, because that's not normal. I've never even considered that. You just sit there and you wait. Because what happens when you get on the wing? The wing's probably, it's above my head, and I'm 5'9", 5'10". So it's at least 6-7 feet off the ground at very least. I'm sure more than that. I'm sure that's just a rough estimate. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, do you think that she does need to be evaluated, or you think she was just very impatient and rude and she wanted to cut in line? Because people are like that. All right, back to the episode, or back to the article. Planes, drones, or UFOs. What are people seeing in the New Jersey sky? This is from space.com. The recent sightings of puzzling unidentified aircraft in New Jersey. Yada yada yada. Everybody knows about that. Everybody says it's drones, but we don't really know where the drones are coming from. The government says, well, they're not. They're not from another country, but we don't really know. They're not going to harm us. I personally think it's a distraction. I think it's something that the government, and this is my personal conspiracy theory, I think the government is trying to distract us from something they're doing. I don't know what. And so they're putting this in the sky to confuse everybody and worry everybody on that. Because I believe the government probably has things, aircrafts, weapons that we've never even seen before, right? But that's just my theory, and I'm gonna be careful what I say there, especially on the first episode, right? Let's see here. I mean, it seems like a very detailed article about what possibly might be up there, and that's from space.com, so that would be kind of a trusted source, I would say. I don't know. I've never really been to space.com. All right, but I do have another episode article here, and typically I don't like to pull from CNN, but I was struggling to find articles that were super recent. This is from the 28th of December. At least 5 shows canceled after drones fell from the sky in Orlando event. So, everybody has probably heard at one point in time, since drones have been out, that people use drones for drone shows, right? So they take the drones up in the air, hundreds of them, and they, it's like a light show. Right? It's like fireworks, but it's drones. They're not exploding. They're just flying around the air. They have different colors on them, and they make different things in the sky. It's pretty neat. I have a drone myself, but I wouldn't even dare attempt something like that. But it looks like drones have fell out of the sky at some point. So I don't know if it's from... Several drones struck a crowd on a holiday show in Orlando on December 21st. Also in, Dallas, Austin, New York City Park, Central Park. So they all had some malfunctions. And, that doesn't surprise me. I don't think that's necessarily the government, but I think there's probably radio waves and things. And also, things happen, right? To have 5 happen in the midst of, a few days, that's kind of odd to me. But also, things happen. Errors happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's some radio interference in the sky around these areas. Because whoever's flying these big drones that we are unsure of what they are wants to control the sky. And I know that, the FCC or the FDA, that's not the FDA, but whoever, I think it's the FCC, whoever's in charge of aircraft, they're cracking down on drones if you don't have a drone license, which I've recently been looking into that more. have in the past, but now even more, make sure that I'm compliant. It looks like there's some sort of assessment that you have to take in order for that to, in order for you to be able to fly a drone, which is interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much the only articles I have. I hope to make this, a 20 to 30 minute podcast, something to brighten your Monday morning, and as you're driving to work, or as you're driving home from work, or maybe you're on your lunch break. Just something short, something to consume, and something to give yourself to process. That's essentially why I named it Processed, was because here's a few articles that we can all process together. And that's my hope, is to find things. And I know there wasn't very much comedy in that today, but hopefully I can find some comedy in some things. There's some crazy things going on in the world. I think next week we'll definitely cover this Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. Like that's crazy. I don't even know. I don't even want to get into it today, because we can make that a whole another episode probably in itself. Let me find a scripture that we can end this podcast with today. I think, I'm a very Bible-believing, Christ follower, go to church regularly. It's very important to me. It's a lifestyle, right? When you follow Christ, you have to make it a lifestyle. Just like, if you're a surfer, I've used this analogy before. You see those bumper stickers called Salt Life, and those are people that enjoy surfing or enjoy swimming in the ocean or boating or whatever. Like that's their life. They go out there, if they live by the water, they go out there regularly, probably every day, and they get in the water, right? So as we follow Christ, that's something that we have to make it a part of our everyday life, not just a Sunday and Wednesday, or the CEO crowd, the Christmas and Easter only crowd. Like, you have to make it part of your everyday life. All right, so Proverbs 4:13, take hold of my instructions, don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to life. So I love Proverbs recently. It has a lot of key wisdom, short little verses like that you can hold on to, and take through your day. Hold on to my instructions. I'm guessing this is God talking, right? Or this could be, I think Solomon. Don't quote me on that. I think Solomon wrote a lot of Proverbs, so it could be him. He's given instructions to Christ followers. Don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to life. I think Proverbs has a lot of keys to life and how to live life a godly way. So yeah, that's my personal thought on it. Let me know what you guys think of this podcast. If you liked it, give me some constructive criticism if you want. And I guess I will see you guys next week. Have a good day, guys. God bless.